Hey, good morning, everybody. It's a little bit of a chilly day here, but not bad. I'm thrilled you're here with us. So, Rita Hickman, body mind expert, shiatsu massage therapist, and someone who can help you with your toxic and your narcissistic relationships. Been doing this a long time. Work with women solely, don't work with anybody else. And I help them through all sorts of wonderful body mind tools and paradigm shifts and physical things that they can do to deal with everything that comes up around narcissism, whether it's brain fog or arthritis or fibro or exhaustion or needing to change how you think so that you value yourself more, all of that stuff. That's what I help with. I come from the body-mind space instead of only the head space. So today we're talking about anger. Today we're talking about those inner emotions that happen. So when you're in a relationship with someone who's toxic, it means you're probably going to feel angry a lot. You're going to be feeling angry a lot because finding the conflicts that you have within yourself, the weaknesses or the things which have been passed down generation to generation that have kept you and your family stuck. You know, it's kept you swirling around. So, you know, toxic people and narcissists are amazing at finding the things to help you heal. I know it's sort of weird. So there's this book I ran into with the first person that it was passed on to me when I first started my healing journey, and it's called The Soul and the Sun. And it's based on conversations with God, which is Neil Donald Walsh. And the book was all about how relationships are designed to bring up the things that cause you difficulty and pain so that they can be healed, so that you can evolve into a better version of yourself. So the basics of the story, a little angel in heaven, and the angel says to God, hey, you know, and God says, you don't want to be forgiveness. And the little angel says, yes, of course I want to be forgiveness. And God says, you don't want to be forgiveness. And so the little angel says, please, I want to be forgiveness. So God says, well, you have to find somebody who is willing to do the thing to you that you need to forgive. And only then can you be forgiveness. So the angel asks this other little angel that raises their hand and says, hey, I'm willing to be forgiveness for you. And the little angel goes, fantastic, thanks. I want to learn all about forgiveness. And the other little angel says, but I need you to remember when I'm doing that thing to you that causes all of that pain and all of that hurt and all of that suffering, when I'm doing that thing to you, you need to remember who I am. And that's kind of what we're here on this earth to do. We're here on this earth to remember who we are, who everybody is. And when these relationships come into our life or when we've been in them for a while, sometimes, you know, less than a year, sometimes over 40 years, when these relationships come into our lives and we choose to stay and you choose to be in these relationships, not ready to leave, it's not time, haven't worked through enough stuff, whatever, then it's a relationship that will help you heal as a person, that will bring up the things for you to look at. So many times when you get angry at a narcissist, one of the main feelings that are coming up is anger at yourself. Anger at yourself that you allowed yourself to be treated in a way that you don't like, that doesn't feel good, and that you betrayed yourself on some level, that you let yourself be put in this position where it caused so much pain and so much hurt, that you did this to yourself. When we start looking at conflict and anger that comes up within us, you know, even though life would be great if they weren't crazy, right? So if we don't look at it as someone else's fault, and if instead we look at it as nobody's fault, it's just the situation that it is, and how do I heal that anger? What does that anger need? What does that anger need from me? You know, sometimes we get angry because we give more than we want to give, and that resentment builds up, and we're angry at ourselves for giving more than we want to. I mean, have you ever been in a good space and you give easily and gently because it's no problem, because you have more than enough to give and stuff doesn't bother you and you don't feel insulted and your feelings aren't hurt and you don't get torn in two and you know, your life doesn't come crashing down? Have you ever been in a good place and you're able to handle things? You're resilient, you're tolerant, you have compassion and love and kindness, right? And then there's other times when you push too far, when you let yourself do more than you want to, when you're stretched too thin, when you didn't respect your boundaries, when you stayed when you needed to go, when you should have walked out but you were too scared or anxious. Things where part of you said, we're going to stay, and another part of you said, screw this, I don't want to do this anymore. Why are you doing this to me? So that's natural and that's normal. When we get angry, not saying it's not a toxic person's fault, not saying it's not a narcissist's fault, absolutely. However, it's not going to get you anywhere. What's going to get you to that inner peace that you want, that inner caring, that inner compassion, that resilience, that place of love, where you stand are important. If that's the direction you want to go, then you need to start forgiving yourself. Forgiving yourself for the choices that you've made and the choices that you're making and the choices that you're going to make. And find a way to make peace with that part of yourself, to listen to what it needs, to ask it what it needs. What do you need? I need you to ... It'll pretty clearly tell you if you give it enough space, if you wait with it and give it space. That part of you that's angry will tell you what's going on and what it needs. You just have to get past the whose fault it is, past the blame, past the wanting to punch back or shut down. You have to hold a space for yourself, a space of love and compassion and kindness. And when you do that, it allows that deepest memory, that deepest wound and vulnerability to feel safe enough to come surface and tell you what it needs from you. And when all those, that's where you find love and joy. It doesn't matter what you're going through. I watched this great documentary the other day. It was about nuns in Tibet who, when the Tibetan government came through, and actually it was the Chinese government, I believe, came through and it was cultural warfare, and all of the nuns in Tibet who lived in the mountains had to go into hiding. They had to go into caves and holes and back to their families and pretend they didn't exist. And when things finally eased, they came rebuild the places that they lived where they could be nuns together, a nunnery, as we would have in the Catholic tradition. And they rebuild these things with walking up mountains with stones on their back, and they do this stuff willingly. They do it willingly. And that's the difference. When we make peace and make sure we get the spiritual nourishment that we need, the emotional nourishment that we need, when we listen to ourselves, when we respect ourselves, for us and for everybody else, that's how we find peace. It's not by finding somebody to blame, even though it is their fault. Absolutely. But that's not going to get you anywhere. What's going to get you where you want to go is by being loving and compassionate and forgiving to yourself and holding that loving space for yourself so that you can hear the parts of you that you've ignored, that you've belittled, that you've minimized, the parts of you that have been yelling for your attention, that have been lonely and hurt and sad and trapped and helpless and hopeless. And those parts of you need to have a voice. You need to listen to it. You need to reassure them. You need to be there for them. You need to make choices which look out for them, because that's your job. Your job is to love yourself. Your job is to be compassionate with yourself and kind and patient. And when you have that energy space, it starts to radiate out. Where these nuns came back and they rebuilt their homes, the villages became... Here we are, we're back on, I think. Okay. So if you missed that little bit, it was about loving yourself and giving yourself compassion. And when you do that, stuff unfolds and you become more peaceful. And when you become more peaceful, you're able to be the person that you want to be, not only for yourself, but all of the people that you love, okay? So here's your homework assignment for today. Today, I want you to take a little bit of compassionate space and listen. Listen to anything that's bothering you. Listen to anything that comes up that's mad and hurt and frustrated and exhausted and numb and cut off. Listen to that part of you and speak to it. Have a dialogue, have a conversation that says, you know what, you're safe here, you're welcome here, I want to hear what you have to say, what's going on. You can express yourself, you can yell, you can scream, you can cry. This is a safe place. You need to talk to yourself and give yourself permission, feelings, to be okay. Because other people, they're dealing with their own stuff. Very few people will be able to be present to you. But you have got to be present to you, okay? So give yourself some time today. Whether it's 5 minutes or whether it's a half an hour or whether it's half a day or whether it's a full day or whether it's a whole week. Give yourself that time to listen to yourself. Because when you get yourself, when you yourself can start to trust you and respect you, a lot of that anger and hurt and frustration dials down. And you're able to be the person that you want to be, and you don't feel so angry and conflicted. Okay? Cool? Cool. So, happy Monday. Hope you have a great rest of your day. If you haven't joined the Healthy Mindsets to Cope with Narcissists, look it up. And if you have joined, invite other people, because it's through this community and this tribe of healthy thinking, of moving in a positive direction, of support and love and care for ourselves and everybody else. That's what will change the world, okay? So, thank you.